Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all for coming out this evening on this very cold night. My name's Christy Greenwald. I'm the director of the district's Interagency Council on Homelessness. And I'm very happy to be here with you this evening and the beautiful Southwest community to talk about a really important issue facing our community and our efforts as a community to eradicate homelessness. And more specifically, our strategy to close DC General, which is an all 8 ward strategy. I want to make a special thank you this evening to our hosts, Reverend Little, the pastor of Friendship Baptist Church, Rachel McNeil, administrative assistant, Trustee Trim Perrys, and all of the members and friends of Friendship Baptist. So as mentioned, this is an all 8 ward strategy, and we have meetings going on all across the city this evening, but here in the Southwest community, we are really fortunate to have a very special guest here with us to kick off our meeting this evening. And with no further ado, I would like to introduce our Honorable Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Well, good evening, everybody. I am very happy to see a full room here and very happy, and Pastor, I want to thank you for your hospitality and that of your members for opening your doors and welcoming us for a very important community conversation. I also want to thank your council member, Charles Allen. I call him affectionately the new old council member because he knows so much about how the council works and has been such a tremendous advocate for Ward 6. So please join me in acknowledging Charles Allen. And to all of your very active, informed ANC commissioners who each and every day around all kinds of issues advocate for the community so that we can get the things done that are important to Ward 6 and to Southwest. And I am very, very proud to bring to you tonight. And you're going to hear, you heard from Christy, who's going to lead you through this conversation. Admiral Chris Weaver is here, another Ward 6 resident who is going to be here to answer questions as well, who leads our DGS. So you won't be surprised by the discussion because we have, as a city, been talking about how to close DC General for a number of years. It has been a collective view that a city as prosperous as ours must and can do better by families who are vulnerable and in need of a safe place to land on their way to permanency. And it was also clear to me that the problem of homelessness is not just a Ward 2 problem, a Ward 6 problem, or a Ward 7 problem, but it is a problem for our whole city. So we're going to talk tonight not just about short-term family housing, but about our whole system of how to deal and end homelessness in the District of Columbia. We start with the belief that homelessness can be solved in Washington, that it can be rare, brief, and non-recurring. But it cannot be rare, brief, and non-recurring if we don't change anything about our system. So we have brought in a great team of people, nationally known experts. We're following best and evidence-based practices to get us to where we can say that homelessness is rare, brief, and non-recurring in the District of Columbia. Some of it we've done by changing our system and changing ways that people come into our system and investing in how we prevent people from coming in the homeless system anyway. So Christy is going to talk some about that. The thing that we're focused on with the all 8 ward strategy tonight, though, is the realization that there will always be families in the district that hit an emergency, hit a hard time, and hit a tough time. And our law requires that individuals and families in hypothermia are provided shelter. But not only is that our law, my strong sense is that those are our values too. And we want to make sure that we are providing for people in an emergent time of need. The third part of how we're going to solve the problem of homelessness is consistent and robust investment in affordable housing. It was important to me that if I was going to bring a plan forward, and I will say this, that we need every unit that we're going to present across the city tonight, 271 units, in order to close DC General by 2018. And it was important to me that if we moved from what we all know is a big site that doesn't work for families, that is not safe, and if we move to what we know works, small, dignified facilities with wraparound services, that we would go into neighborhoods with great buildings, great projects, and we would attract great providers. So not only would we have a system that worked for families to get them on the right track, we would have facilities that work for neighborhoods that you would see as an investment, an enhancement, and a good way to welcome neighbors to your community. So that's what we're here to talk about tonight. I want to thank you very much for coming and listening and asking questions. And Christy and Admiral Weaver will walk you through what the proposal is for Ward 6 and walk you through the rest of the process. Thank you all very much.
And next, I want to ask Councilmember Allen to come up and say a few words.
Thanks, and good evening, everybody. Not surprised at all that we were able to have a full room here. And I appreciate everybody for taking their time out and for coming here. I appreciate the way the mayor kind of framed what this conversation is about. Let me start big, and then we'll get small. Starting big, we had 1,000 people put their heads down and go to sleep last night at DC General. We had 400 kids that called that home last night and went to sleep. Just down the street, we had dozens of people who went into Greenleaf Rec Center, and that was where they stayed for the night. That is a failure in our city. That is not acceptable. I know not a single person in this room says that represents our values. And as someone who was around when we made the decision as a city to close DC Village and just start to reopen DC General, we did so without a plan. And I think that's exactly why we have what we have today at DC General. It is not safe, it is not dignified, and it is not where anybody in this room or anybody that you know where you would want them to have to be and spend their night. And I know that's not a question, there's not a doubt in this entire room about that. Now, bringing it here, I can talk all I want about the city. I believe, looking at what we've seen, we've talked for years about how we close DC General. I've never seen us actually have a plan to do it. And that's what I actually see here. And that's why I give the mayor a lot of credit and her team. They brought in a lot of really smart people to think this through and give our city a plan as to how we actually do it. Now, when we talk about a facility here in Southwest, I know it goes to a lot of people's minds immediately, and that is the Randall School Shelter. When we think about DC General and that shelter, there is no part of this plan that seeks to recreate the experience that we've had at Randall School with that shelter or what we have at DC General. This is a very different approach. I will say it's a radically different approach to how we house our homeless families and how we take care of folks. Now, I know tonight, appropriately so, there's going to be a lot of really good questions. There's going to be tough questions. And the mayor's folks are going to have to stand up here and be able to answer those questions. That's part of the job. That's part of what we expect. And I expect everybody in this room will ask good, tough questions. My challenge to all of my neighbors is going to be how do we focus also on how we make this successful, not just for those residents in need for this type of facility, but also for our entire neighborhood. We cannot view this in just isolation. We need to be thinking about, does a facility like this, how do we make it successful, either looking at the Randall Rec Center and an investment there? How do we look at the impact on Landsberg Park? How do we make a decision around the future of the Unity Healthcare site? How do we look at what's the impact on Amadon Bowen School? And how do we make sure that school, which is growing and getting better and better every day, that we continue to see that success? Those are the types of questions I know that are out there, and I know that we're going to work towards answers. I also want to share with you a little bit what the council's role in this is going to be. The mayor's folks, if they haven't already, very shortly are going to be submitting legislation that comes to the council. The next step will be that there will be a hearing held, and that's going to be somewhere in mid-March. I actually talked with the chairman today. We don't have the exact date, but it's going to be in mid-March. We'll make sure that's announced and publicized. I guarantee you I'll be talking with our ANC, with Swan, and with others to make sure that that information gets out to all of our neighbors in Southwest. And then the council, after holding a public hearing, probably in mid-April or so, would have a vote on this, and that would be the council's process. And so I want to make sure everybody kind of understands what that process looks like. But I really hope that what we can do is really challenge each other tonight to be thinking about how we make this successful. What is the role that everybody plays in this, whether it's our houses of worship and our faith leaders, to our civic leaders, to our neighborhood leaders, to our resident leaders. That is what I'm hoping that the conversation can be tonight. But I also know this is not the end of the conversation. I know that this is going to be something we continue to work on. We're going to have a lot of questions that may need more answers, and we're not going to have them all tonight. And so I look forward to working with the mayor, working with each of you to help solve those things and to be thoughtful, to be smart, to be strategic, but to be able to make this at the end of the day something we're proud of, and then we're proud of it that is successful for our entire neighborhood. Now, if I can, I know that the mayor is, I think you got 7 more of these tonight, so I really appreciate you kicking this off here in Ward 6 tonight. Her team is going to walk through a whole presentation. I do want to, if you'll indulge me 1 second, Stacy Cloyd, who's our ANC commissioner, who represents the SMD where this is, who's been a great leader on the ANC. I want to make sure I introduce her, ask her if she wants to come up and say a quick word, and also she may be able to help frame a question as well, hopefully, Ms. Mayor, before you go, to be able to hear from the ANC is real fast. So, Stacy Cloyd.
Thanks, Councilmember Allen, and thank you, Ms. Mayor, for being here. I first learned about this plan to locate the shelter on this site at 6 o'clock on Monday night, so it's been a busy week. And I want to thank the community members who've already shared their thoughts with me. I know that people are concerned, they're excited, they're angry, they're scared, and they're hopeful too. And I get all of those emotions because I have them myself, because the proposed location of this shelter is less than 750 feet from my front door, and I know there's a lot of people here tonight who live closer than that. And if the mayor had asked my opinion on the location of shelters, I would have told her I don't think this is the best place in 6D or Southwest or even in 6D02 to locate it. And this is my first chance to say that, so I'm saying it now. But although concerns about the location of the shelter are valid, and many of us are going to need a lot of assurances about how it's going to be constructed and operated, I don't want that to be the end of the discussion tonight, because we need to take this opportunity to get the mayor and the council members and other district officials to commit to Southwest, to say if you're going to put a shelter in our neighborhood, it's going to be a shelter that's 10 times cleaner and safer and more effective at getting people into permanent housing than any shelter that you've ever run before. That's not it. That's not all. The shelter is going to place a lot of demands on this neighborhood, and we already have a lot of needs. Schools, public safety, transportation, recreation, just to start. And we're only starting to meet the thousands of new neighbors that are moving into the buildings that keep on going up and keep on having cranes and sidewalk closings. And we have a lot of existing residents who face challenges, whether it's aging or poverty or unemployment, just to begin. And the ANC's asked the district for many things, even in my short time here. Sometimes we don't even get a response back. We don't even know that they got our email. And that's got to stop. We have to be a community in Southwest, and we have to work with the district. So the shelter plan has got to be a catalyst for good things coming to our community, things we need already and things we're going to need even more of if we have a shelter here. So one of those is a Build First redevelopment plan for Greenleaf, for our existing public housing, our existing cornerstone of our affordable housing in this neighborhood. Because it makes no sense to bring in 50 low-income families without committing to the families that we already have here. So I want to ask Mayor Bowser tonight to commit to working with us on this, to not moving ahead on the shelter until there's a good plan for Greenleaf too. And we all are here because we love Southwest. It's a diverse community. It's a caring community. It's an involved community. It's sometimes skeptical community, and it's a community that likes to know what's going on. And so I know we have a lot of questions. I know we've got a presentation that hopefully is going to answer a lot of them tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. All right, before we go into the presentation, I'd also just like to acknowledge the commissioners of 6D. Could everyone stand up so we could acknowledge who's in the room this evening? As Stacy alluded to, we had an opportunity to sit down on Monday night, and in addition, to Stacy, Andy Litsky attended, and Rhonda Hamilton and Meredith Fassett. And that conversation was very helpful to us, and we thank you for your leadership and for being partners in this effort. And really to all of you, the Interagency Council of Homelessness, we always say, you know, addressing homelessness is not something one agency in the district government can do. It's not something the government alone can do at all. It's all of our responsibility. So I'm really heartened to see how many people are here this evening to talk about this issue. So I'd also like to recognize members of our team that are here this evening that are going to be helping me field questions and to work through their presentation this evening. As the mayor mentioned, Admiral Chris Weaver is here. Admiral Weaver is the director of our Department of General Services, which is really our real estate arm of the district government, and so they have had a very big role in this project, and he'll be able to answer a lot of your questions about the specific location and the plans around that development. We also have Deborah Crawford, who's our Deputy Administrator at the DC Department of Human Services. Hi, Deborah. Cheryl Pons, who's the Realty Program Specialist at the Department of General Services. Three of our MOKers who I know work with you all very closely, Frank Maduro, Seth Shapiro, and Edward Doxson. Thanks, guys. And Kenny Diggs, who's our Associate Director of Government Affairs at the Department of General Services. All right, so if we could go to the next slide. So quickly, our agenda this evening, I'm going to provide a little bit of level setting and context for our conversation. I know everyone has a lot of questions. We really want to get to a dialogue with all of you, but a little bit of background on what homelessness looks like in the district and some of the policy framework that we're working within, and some context about DC General. And then we're going to talk specifically about our plan for moving forward, Homeward DC as a broader context, but then also specifically our specific plan around closing DC General. And then we're going to leave as much time as possible for conversation, but I do just want to emphasize that this is really just the first conversation of many. This is an opportunity to just start this dialogue with this community, and we look forward to working with you very closely in the months ahead. Next slide. Go ahead. All right, so what does homelessness in the district look like? On any given night in DC, we have 7,000 individuals that experience homelessness. That's single individuals, men and women, as well as families with children. Many of us are just, especially in a city as expensive as ours, are just a paycheck or a medical emergency away from being on the street. Unfortunately, homelessness has been on the rise in the district. Family homelessness in particular has increased a staggering 40% in just the last 5 years. What does the population look like? It looks very similar to what we see in most other large cities across the country. We have a number of single parent families with very young children. National data tells us that statistically your greatest chance of experiencing homelessness is in your first year of your life. And we see that here in the district with over almost 40% of the children in our homeless services system under the age of 2. The majority have been living with family and friends prior to entering the homeless services system, so they've already experienced some rockiness, maybe have had an eviction or have lost their housing, and have been moving between family and friends, and those networks fall apart and they end up at our shelter door. For too many years, we have tried the same old failed strategies, and I know Councilmember Allen said this. We have challenges in our community, but we have a new strategy and a new plan moving forward, and what we experience as a community for so long does not need to be the path moving forward. So we're really excited to talk to you about that new vision. And we are making historic investments to reverse that trend. Thank you to the mayor and to the council for those investments. Next slide. So in March of 2015, the Interagency Council delivered to the mayor a strategic plan, a 5-year strategic plan to end homelessness called Homeward DC. And I know when we talk about ending homelessness, sometimes it sounds like this big aspirational goal that, you know, and I see people's eyes sort of glaze over, like, ending homelessness, that's never going to happen. But what I'm here to talk to you, or to tell you this evening, is that homelessness did not always exist like it does in our community today. It is not a fact of life. It is not a given that we have to accept. And there is a different way forward. When we released Homeward DC, there were some key core principles that were involved in that plan, as the mayor mentioned, and I know that they are values that we all share. One is that homelessness can be solved. This is a fact. We see evidence-based practices all over the country. We are using those same evidence-based practices. We see in our veterans work in particular across the country that when the resources are there and people are working together, we see that we know the path forward and we know how to end homelessness. The second value that I think we all share is that everyone deserves a safe and dignified place to lay their heads at night and to lay their children to sleep at night. We know that, I know that you all feel that same way. This is as Stacy said, a caring and progressive and thoughtful community. I know we share these values. And the third value is that every neighborhood, every resident has a stake in ending homelessness. When anyone suffers, we all suffer, and this is why we're here to talk to you this evening. Next slide. So when we talk about ending homelessness, what does that mean? We talk about when we say ending homelessness, I really want to emphasize this is about ending homelessness as we know it today. As the mayor said, how do we make homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring? So we have a number of different pieces of our strategic plan. The piece that we're going to talk tonight around replacing DC General and creating safe, dignified emergency housing is just one element of a much larger plan. Part of this broader strategy includes preventing homelessness more and more and sooner and earlier where we can and when we can. So fewer people are experiencing housing loss. This year we invested unprecedented levels of resources in homelessness prevention, borrowing from evidence-based practices from other cities like New York. And in fact, we have prevented 800 families from entering shelter that would have otherwise come into the shelter system in just 6 months since this hypothermia season started. So that's really the first piece, preventing homelessness, preventing housing loss when we can. But housing loss can't always be prevented. As long as there is family rejection, as long as people get ill or have health issues, as long as people lose a job, they will experience homelessness, and we need a safe place for them to stay. We need a safety net in place, and for any of us, returning to permanent housing isn't something that happens overnight. So we need a place for people to go where they can be safe and where we can stabilize them and connect them to services so they can get back into permanent housing as quickly as they can. And so that's the piece that we're really talking about, is that temporary housing. And the third piece of the strategy then is the investments in permanent housing that the mayor talked about. For so long, we've been focused on how do we shelter people in this right to shelter environment that we haven't always had the resources for housing. So we have people flowing into our system, but the back door of our system is closed tight. So now we have unprecedented levels of permanent housing resources in our community, $100 million per year invested in our Housing Production Trust Fund, millions more in subsidies to help connect people who experience homelessness back to permanent housing, back in their community, where they're the leaseholder, where their children where they as families can do the work that they need to do to get on with their lives. Rare, brief, and non-recurring. So a little bit of context. I'm sure that many of you have seen and perhaps wondered, why is homelessness in the district increasing at such a great clip? And you may see data from other cities where homelessness is remaining steady, or some cities are even reporting a decline in homelessness. But there's an important reason for that. And I just as a point of context, when I worked at the federal level, one of my jobs was around data and research, and so I spent a lot of time looking at the data from cities around the country. One thing that we saw in right to shelter jurisdictions, DC, New York, and Massachusetts are the three cities or jurisdictions in the country that offer a legal right to shelter. So that means anyone that presents, we have a legal obligation to shelter them. This is very difficult in a community that has very little affordable housing. We see a lot of demand on our shelter system. It's not that other cities don't experience that demand, but other cities have a shelter, they have a budget for shelter, and when the shelters are full, they're full. And what happens to families and individuals who need shelter when the shelters are full, they're not really counting that, they're not tracking. So it's more hidden. People are moving around in more precarious situations. There's more unsheltered homelessness. In the district, we're seeing it. We have an obligation to shelter them, and we're tracking it. So we've seen this steady increase in shelter. Now, our law, this 1984 law that we passed, requires that we provide shelter only during hypothermia season. That's the extent of our legal obligation. But we know that the weather is not what causes homelessness, right? So we expanded access to shelter year-round, not because it's what the law requires, but because it's a matter of good policy. We need to be able to intervene when someone experiences a housing crisis and not make them wait for months while their situation continues to deteriorate. Then we see in November a crush of folks who are needing assistance coming into our system. So we've opened up access to shelter year-round. And again, it's not as a matter of right, but as a matter of good policy. We know it's the humane thing to do, but it's also the strategic thing to do. And we have many forms of emergency housing in our community, but the largest form of emergency housing or shelter for families is DC General Family Shelter. So as I'm sure many of you know, DC General was built in the 1800s. For most of its existence, it was a hospital. For the last 7 years, it has served as DC's largest family shelter. And as Councilmember Allen said, that was never the intent when we went into a plan to use it as a shelter for families. That was really supposed to be for one season. And here we are 7 years later, busting at the seams. Last night we had 262 families staying at DC General, over 400 children. And as you can imagine, this is no place for families. It's no place to raise your child. It does not have the environment or the proximity to services that are proven to help get families back on their feet. It's way too big. It's long. It is extremely costly. The building has been deteriorating for years. And in fact, it is the single most expensive intervention in our entire homeless services system. Next slide. When she was elected, Mayor Bowser heard loud and clear from the community. And in every ward I know that she went to, she heard the same thing. And it's the same thing when I'm out at meetings in communities, I hear the same thing from every ward. It's time to close DC General. So that was the pledge that our team made. And our team has been working hard to put together a plan to do just that. And in December, the DC Council voted to move forward with that plan. So what is that plan? So let me talk to you just for a minute about what, from a broad perspective, what will these new facilities look like? So in contrast to DC General, which again has 260 units, these facilities will be much smaller. No more than 50 in any one facility, but in some cases, even smaller than that. They will be safe and dignified. They will be residential in neighborhoods that have access to services and transportation. DC General is very remote and isolated. It's very difficult for our families to access the services that they need, healthcare services, access to workforce development assistance, child programming, the host of services that we know our families need. I want to pause for a second on, I know folks want to get into the details of the specific facility, but I also know that folks will have a lot of questions around what service enriched means. So a lot of folks had said, well, what does that mean? What kind of services will be on site in these new facilities? And so I want to just take a minute to talk about the design elements that we've really put a lot of care and consideration into thinking about what the design of these facilities will look like. We had a number of stakeholders working with us, consumer representatives, advocates, who really helped us think through what should these facilities look like. So all of the facilities will have programming space, so flexible programming space. All of the meals are brought in for our consumers. That space can be flexible and used for programming. It will have study space. Unlike DC General, where there really is no age-appropriate play space, there will be very age-appropriate space for children. As I mentioned, almost half of the children at DC General are under the age of 2. So things like tot lots and really age-specific developmental activities. So these are the types of services that we will offer. We will have 24-hour social work staff on site, security, 24-hour security. The services, we work closely with our partners from other agencies and nonprofit partners in the community who co-locate services on site that provide housing navigation support, credit counseling and financial assistance, early childhood screening, access to education, training, workforce development services, parenting classes and health and wellness, mentoring. We have a host of services that are provided on site. We have a number of partnerships. We partner with Georgetown and have the Hoya Clinic. That programming will continue. We have a fantastic program focused on children called the Homeless Children's Playtime Project, which some of you may have volunteered at. That programming will continue. And there's a really great and rich opportunity for the neighbors to be involved in those services that are provided on site. So as mentioned, this is an all 8 ward strategy. It's important. Homelessness does not occur just in 1 or 2 wards of the city. Folks that experience housing instability come from all of the wards in our community, and it's really important that everyone is part of that solution. The strategy that was announced on Tuesday identified the locations in all 8 wards, and I'm gonna ask Director Weaver to come up and talk to you a little bit about the location here in Ward 6.
Thank you very much, Christy, and good evening. A little preamble, if I could. I came to Ward 6 with the Navy in 1998 at a time when Southeast Washington was not an attractive place to be, near Southeast. It was my opportunity, my privilege to work with the administration at that time, the General Services Administration, but most of all the community, to set the conditions that have evolved into a very vibrant, positive environment on the other side of South Capitol Street. At the same time that was going on, the already good things over here on the southwest side started getting even better, and now we see the evolution of the waterfront here and other things that are going to make a neighborhood like this even better. I saw in particular the contribution of community and government interaction to create facilities and conditions that ended up being supportive of everything, whether it was economics or social development or housing. It all kind of came up together. All boats tended to rise together. I see in this opportunity here at 700 Delaware the same kind of conditions, the same kind of possibility for the future. And so that's why I'm excited to be on the mayor's team and to be working on this. Next slide, please. The things that we looked at in choosing sites included size and capacity. We needed about 30 to 35,000 square feet of space. We needed to be able to support our customer, in this case, to use a clinical term, the Department of Human Services, in the ability to cite and support programs and to be near services and transportation so that people could gain access to the things that were going to fundamentally change their lives, which is really a part of this brief, non-recurring, and rare. We also looked at, first of all, properties that the District of Columbia controlled, and then secondly, we looked at areas that we might be able to either purchase or lease. Next, please. We came up with these sites here, which were something of the confluence of what we believed were the best possible, the unification of the best possible conditions we could get at the time of evaluating this. And you can see there's a breadth of things. What you can take away from this is that no 2 of those sites are the same. Their size and their shape are different, and so we will have to adjust our designs on each one of those sites in order to be able to support the programs that are necessary for DHS. You can see a range of delivery dates for these sites because they don't all start at the same time, and they will not complete all on the same time. But our goal is to complete before the hypothermia season that begins in the fall of 2018. And we will need to do that in order to close DC General, which is a matter of law now. Just a quick, it might be interesting for you to know, right now it costs us on every year about $17 million to operate DC General. It would cost about $22 million a year for a number of years to replace it. It was mentioned a few moments ago, it is not in a good condition. Years ago, I was responsible for a headquarters in Norfolk, Virginia, that was an old hospital. It's always going to be a hospital. It's not going to be a good headquarters, but that's what the Navy has. But in this case, we have an opportunity to leave that, to just leave that behind. And it was mentioned earlier, it is frankly not who we are as a community. It is not who we are, and we need to change that. Next, please. With respect to the site, this is kind of a long range view. Next one, please. The site you can see right here, the traffic circle just a little bit north of us, and then the site next to the athletic field right there. Next. This is what's called an elevation view of a preliminary design that we expect to build on that site. You'll see that we preserve the historical aspects of the church, yet we build a new and modern and, again, functional and dignified facility where people can live and live safely and live well. Let's go back for just a second, if you don't mind. The areas around here, again, this is not meant to just be an attractive piece of salesmanship. We do understand, and I do understand, having done this for the Navy for many years, that it isn't just about building a facility. It has to fit in. It has to link up with what's all around it, and we will be seeking input from folks in the community about outward appearance and landscaping and treatments of the perimeter in order to meet what is expected. Next, please. And with that, I would like to turn it back over to Christy.
So we, the district government and the Department of Human Services in particular, since we will be the agency that is responsible for overseeing the providers at these sites, are really committed to being good neighbors to you all. And I heard from Councilmember Allen and from many of you that a number of years ago, you had a very negative experience with the Randall Rec Center operating as a shelter, school. So Stacy, correct me there. Operating as a shelter, I'm sorry? Yep. Operating as a shelter for single men. And I want folks to know that what happened in the past does not have to be the path forward, right? We are on a new path. We know that there are tremendous problems with the homeless services system in the district, and again, that's where we are here. That's why we have a strategy to move forward in a much different direction. Now, one of the things that we have seen other communities do is work on these good neighbor agreements. We have a number of samples that we haven't done this in the district. This is new for us. So people say, what does this look like? We want you to help us shape this. But the point of having a good neighbor agreement is we want all of you to be partners with us and think about how does this facility fit into your neighborhood. I know that you all worked on a small area plan, and you have a very a vision for your community as being a very vibrant arts district. And we think this can be a really important part of that community, and one that welcomes residents welcomes residents home in a unique way, and that arts vibe can be part of this facility. So what does that good neighbor agreement look like? Again, this is something that's new, but we want to work with you on it. So I know people have questions around, well, maintenance of the property, what does that look like? Who's responsible for that? Community safety, codes of conduct, how do we communicate about things? Mutual respect. Those are things that we will be talking about. As Director Weaver showed on the slide just preceding this, we have 2 years to work on this together. These facilities will not be delivering until the middle of 2018. So again, this is just the beginning of our conversation with this community. We want you to be part of this. We want to hear your concerns, and we want to work through this together. What goes in this good neighbor agreement can then be embedded into the contract. We will have, as we get closer to the site delivery date, the Department of Human Services will competitively procure a provider for each of these different facilities. And so the elements of the Good Neighbor Agreement can go into that contract. So we have a mechanism for monitoring and oversight of the provider. Next steps. Okay, next slide. Okay, so here's a quick rundown of what happens next. And this was described a little bit earlier by the council members. So all of the short-term housing sites will be submitted to the DC Council for their approval as one package. So all of these sites will go together, or they won't go at all. And we cannot close DC General until the council passes this really very important legislation. Once they do, we will continue to refine the designs, and we will be back to work with you on these issues. They will go through regular permitting and zoning processes. And then again, over the next 2 years, as the construction happens, we will continue to have those conversations around good neighbor, what it means to be a good neighbor, how the sites are maintained, what the programming looks like, how the neighborhood residents can be involved. And then again, as we get closer to the site delivery date, the providers will be procured, the facilities will be open, and we can all celebrate together when we can finally close DC General. Okay, so with that really, I encourage everyone to join us in this effort. I know everybody's got questions, and looks like it's about 7:25, so we have the venue until 8:30, so we have more than an hour for questions. I'm going to ask Director Weaver to come up here. We're going to take your questions, and if folks have questions beyond 8:30, we'll stay outside. We'll continue to answer your questions. We'll give you our contact information. But with that, I'd love to just open it up to the audience. But so someone's roving with a microphone.
First of all, thank you for your patience. We wanted to walk through and give you the full context, and I wanted to, I don't know where the commissioner went. There's the commissioner. Respond briefly to the commissioner's specific question. I have stated previously my commitment to helping the Housing Authority find replacement housing for Greenleaf. I have an equal commitment to finding replacement housing at Berry Farm and at Park Morton, and also at Northwest 1. So we are replacing public housing all over the city. And so what I would tell you is that we have to have all of these items have to move simultaneously, and that is our commitment. And so we're going to answer questions. As Christy said, once again, thank you for your patience, the start of our conversation, and I look forward to many more. Thank you.
Will there be at each site an on-site maintenance crew, maybe even a live-in person or two, or will there be roving maintenance people? I prefer the former.
The former. So, and part of it depends on the level of the fix, right? So with some of our programming right now, we have folks that are on contract that can do those short-term fixes and help maintain the property. If there's a significant fix, of course, we call in a contractor. But again, these are things, we're changing the way the system operates. We're moving from a very large facility into smaller, deconcentrated facilities. We have the opportunity to rethink the way we do things, and so we're absolutely open to suggestions. And one thing I want to note is that we have a note taker. Who's? Okay, so we have a number of note takers in the room with us tonight. Again, this is the start of the conversation, and we purposely wanted to come out as early as we could. We didn't want to have everything baked because we want you to be part of helping us shape this into something that works for your community. So we are taking down all of your questions and concerns. We will work with you on these issues. We will get answers back to you. But so the short answer to that is I think it's a little bit of both, some on-site and some roving, but we will continue to shape that as we move forward.
Yeah. My name is Dwayne Brown, a native Washingtonian and 15-year resident at Southwest. Let me just, you guys have your talking points, so here's one for you all, and I see the mayor has left. The Southwest community, we really want to help with the situation, okay? But I want to talk about process. So my question is, when the mayor was a city councilwoman, it's my understanding, according to the Washington Post, that when she fought against a shelter in her area, okay, that's one point. Now, she also ran as an election to be transparent and open in her administration. So we talk about we being skeptical. It's the process, because I don't think this was a transparent and open situation. I'm hearing the word proposal. But I think this is a plan that the mayor and the team said, this is the plan, live with it. We'll talk about it, but it's the plan. So was this a covert operation to do this, and now we're just dealing with this now, and now we're having a conversation? Usually it's, here's the proposal, let's talk about it, but this is, we did the plan, now we can talk about it.
Well, there are a couple of things. Thank you very much for your question. A number of factors came into play. As I described, there were several elements of finding property that was available, meeting the requirements of DHS and their ability to deliver project or program support. But I'd say the biggest thing was that we wanted to make sure that we got something going before we got a good idea of what we wanted to do before we ended up in a 3 hypothermia season situation. And to the degree that we sifted through and came up with the sites that we did, we believe they're good sites. We appreciate the fact that we now want to make sure we get inputs from people, but we believe these are good sites to begin with. So I appreciate your concern, but again, given the exigencies of wanting to get something out there to solve this problem and close DC General, we believe we came up with the best sites we could. Well, there was well, let me add, I was just asked, the solicitation was, there was a request for proposals that went out, and a number of different offers, or different, 26, I believe, were offered to us, and we sorted through those and came up with the ones that we have.
Oh, my name is Willie White, and I live about 10 feet from where you can open that door. So I think you should have come along and let somebody know what you were doing. I've been here 38 years, and you didn't even have the courtesy to come by and tell me what your plans were. I've been an owner here for 38 years. I'm not a renter. I've been here 38 years. So since you already have your plan in place and all your deals have been cut, I think we ought to talk about what you're going to play. Now, I know that people have been coming by and sending me letters and want to buy my house. And they're offering $700,000. What you going to put in front of my house? A piece of junk?
Go ahead. You wanna-
You better spend some money if you're going to put some in my place there. Don't come back on a budget. Because people are passing the house every day. So you want to sell it?
Well,
And it's paid for.
Again, thank you for your point. I would say this, that the building, the structure that we have designed, that what we've come up with, I believe is attractive. Let me give you an example, though, about values. There is a men's shelter on 14th Street North called La Casa. It is positioned next to a very high-end apartment building. You cannot tell the difference between this shelter for single men and the area around it, in my estimation. So, and in fact, that facility has received awards nationally. So I appreciate your concern, but I believe that we're addressing it in the way that we are going to build this facility and the way we're going to maintain it and operate it.
Yeah, and I would just like to add to what the Admiral said. I absolutely understand the concerns that people have, and I would like to invite folks to come out and see some of the properties. The district really has a proven track record in developing really beautiful, well-managed structures. I have friends that have walked by the La Casa property, and that's not housing families. I have to tell you, that's housing some of our most chronically homeless veterans that had been on the streets for years. And people think that is a high-end condo building. And I've had people say, "Oh, I actually can. Are they have any vacancies?" And I say, "No, it's a property for formerly homeless veterans." So we would like folks to come out and see some of the other properties before you before you make up your mind on this. But I just want to say, I do hear your concerns. I see you shaking your head, and I understand. But we just really want to implore people to keep an open mind. So we have folks that are managing the mics. So Frank, go ahead.
Hi, I have two questions. First question is, could you just clarify, because I'm hearing some concerns here that this seems like a done deal, but I thought I had heard that there's going to be a city council vote in April. So for those of us that do not want to voice our opinions in opposing this site selection, what can we do so that our voices can be heard between now and April? That would be really helpful to know. And question number two is, I think I heard you say that in looking at the site selection, some of the factors that you considered is what kinds of benefits or enhancements does this facility have to our area. So if you can a little bit elaborate on that, because I think a lot of us that are here in this Southwest neighborhood, we have a lot of needs for services already, and I think some of which were mentioned by Stacy, like public safety and schools and recreational and a lot of things at the Southwest, this particular 1 mile radius needs that maybe some other areas in even Ward 6 does not really need or really feel the pain of, and we feel like we feel it here. So how does this particular shelter being placed within, from our kitchen window, I can see this facility, I can see Blind Wino. So how does that make us better in the kinds of things that we really feel like we need more of?
Well, the first. Let me address the amenities, so to speak, the features. We have, working with the mayor, working with Councilmember Allen, we know that there are other additional things in this neighborhood that need to be looked at, and we're going to do that, and included in the scope and the consideration of what needs to be done to improve.
So maybe could you rephrase your question then? I'm sorry, we may have not misunderstood.
Okay, so can you answer how this shelter is going to make public safety better for us? How does this shelter make amenities better? We need more grocery stores, we need more retail, we need more recreational, we need places for our children to be safe, we need our schools to be better. Those are the kinds of things that our residents need here.
Sure.
How does this shelter make it better?
Sure. I mean, so this is essentially a housing facility for families. You have housing facilities for families coming up all over your community. So I think the question really, as I mentioned earlier, we have heard loud and clear that we need to close DC General, that we need to do better. And in order to do that, we need to replace the full capacity. We need 270 units to do that. We issued a solicitation back in December. We looked at the proposals that came in. Again, they had to meet specific criteria. We needed a certain number of units. We wanted one in every ward. They needed to be close to transportation. So understand this is also about giving opportunity to other residents, but it's also many residents here, again, in your community. People here in this Southwest community experience homelessness as well.
Can you answer her question? Josh Hedrick from the Southwest. Thank you. Mike, please.
Sorry. My name is Gabriel, and I do appreciate you being here, although I'm bothered that we only were given 2 days' notice. But there are two things on my mind, and that was also an issue of how we benefit, because I saw it in the slide, and I'm not clear on how we benefit. But with regard to this particular area, on Delaware, we have 2 low-income apartment or mixed-income apartment buildings, and then we have a 4-block Greenleaf facility that is not maintained. It's not respected. Drugs come in and out. A child was shot at the library. And now you're asking us to bring in even more families to a very nice and pretty picture, but we can walk across the street and see what the reality of that picture is. Now, Mayor Bowser, when I'm sorry that she left, because in the Washington Post on March 23rd, 2014, the Hebrew Home, sir, and thank you for bringing that up, the Hebrew Home was what she rejected in her own ward. And she said, how could, I quote, how could a government agency ask people in a 2-block radius to support 3 homeless shelters? And now she's asking us to do it.
Yep.
She's telling us to do it.
Yep.
And now we have until April, apparently, to organize ourselves. And a meeting here that we were given 2 days' notice for.
Yep. So again, I understand the sentiment. we have committed as a community that this is the right thing to do. And it's not necessarily, how do we benefit our entire community? I think that's the charge that we've been given is how do we end homelessness? How do we close DC General? And every ward in this community is part of the solution. And so I think no matter where these facilities are located, everyone has the same reaction.
Yeah.
Honestly, everywhere we go, every community feels that they are doing their part.
No.
Mike?
Okay, can I ask a question? Here. Hi. Hi. My name is Josh. I live in Southwest. I'm a Southwest waterfront resident for 13 years. And like the gentleman said, we already have Greenleaf, Spinks, John Creek, or whatever it's called, James Creek, and we have a halfway house, and now we're welcoming a homeless shelter. I mean, we're really doing our part here in Southwest. My question is, what's Georgetown doing? Like, what's Colorama doing? DuPont Circle? Like, how many shelters and housing projects are they getting? And are you working with HUD to help out the many projects that we already have here? Like, how's HUD helping out? Yeah.
So we get a number of federal resources from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. We have resources that go to the DC Housing Authority. We have resources that go to DHCD, the Department of Housing and Community Development, for new construction and for renovation and rehab. We are working to leverage every last dollar available to us from the federal government. I think, again, on your earlier point, we hear you, it's noted, we will continue to work with you on those things, but the reality is every community.
But I feel like our community, though, is targeted because we are diverse, we're welcoming, we already are helping the poor, but you couldn't go to Colorama and put a homeless shelter there, or put one on Embassy Row on Mass Ave.
Yep. Well, again, remember, so as we said, this is an all 8 wards, so we ask what Northwest is doing in Ward 3. We actually have a facility coming up on the intersection of Wisconsin and Edmonds. We are asking them to.
Right, well, and that'll be their first one. That there are no low-income housing there. There's nowhere taking Section 8 vouchers on.
We actually have shelters for single men up in Ward 3. What is that?
How do you compare low-income?
Divvied up per ward?
Will you repeat the question so everyone can hear you?
I think there's a problem with proportionality, and we're curious as to what are some of the lower proportion neighborhoods doing to address this homelessness problem.
So again, this is a new strategy. This is our first time out of the gates with Homeward DC. We will have to repeat this exercise in the future as we work to bring additional affordable housing online, permanent supportive housing, additional shelter facilities for our single adult population. Homeward DC is an all 8 ward strategy, as mentioned. This, as you can probably see from this slide, we are asking every ward to host a new facility of. What is that?
Ward is too broad. Wards are huge.
I understand that.
May I help to frame this a bit?
So I would like, so I would just like one question at a time. So no, folks, one question at a time. Can we?
I have the mic over here.
Thank you.
I have the
Okay.
mic.
Hi, I'm a Ward 6 resident, but I live on the southeast side. I've been there for 20 years. I currently live 20 feet across from DC General. And my family has been there for 20 years when it was a quote-unquote unfavorable neighborhood. and we haven't left and have no plans on leaving anytime soon. I have a question and a comment. One of my comments is I've been volunteering at DC General on and off for 5 years with the Homeless Children's Playtime Project, and I just want to tell you all what that community does to me. Those children give me hope. They show you what life can be when you have nothing. They humble me. They show me that I would rather be uncomfortable. I don't have any place I can walk to go to the grocery store or laundromat. If I don't drive and go to the metro, I can't go anywhere outside of my neighborhood. But I would rather be a little bit uncomfortable so those kids can have somewhere to sleep at night, because it's not their fault they were born into poverty. Now, my second question for the city is, and it's disheartening to hear my neighbors in DC to say, not my community, not my backyard. Well, it's been my backyard, and I welcome it in my backyard. But the second point I have to say is, I do agree with the sentiment here. What is the city doing to spread more affordable housing? And what are your plans to prevent this? Because putting up shelters, housing, whatever you want to call it, is not going to stop the root causes of education problems, drug problems, security problems, and ultimate roots of poverty. So what is your plans to cut this? My more interest is how are you going to break this systematic generational poverty that has been plaguing this city since the 80s? So you can bring it to my backyard, because I know what those kids do for me and my neighbors.
Yep, no, I appreciate that. Thank you for your comment. And with regard to the question of what else is the city doing, again, remember I mentioned when we released the plan, the strategy around closing DC General and replacing it with smaller family shelter facilities is one piece of a much broader strategy. As the mayor said, she is investing $100 million per year in the Housing Production Trust Fund. We are in a very deep hole with regard to affordable housing, where we had not been producing affordable housing for years. We have some catch up to do. And it's not only on the housing side. As mentioned, there are a number of other services that need to be connected to the work we do. And honestly, that is the role of the Interagency Council. My position is a new one. We know, again, it's not just the Department of Human Services who is responsible for ending homelessness. They have the task of managing it through shelter and food programs and transportation, but it is the DC Housing Authority, AC. We have one of our partners here. It's the Department of Housing and Community Development. It's the Department of Behavioral Health. It's all of our partners. It's the Office of the State Superintendent for Education. All of our partners, and they are at the table, and we are working hard, and we are working every day to implement that plan. And that plan is much bigger and much broader than simply DC General. So again, we have, someone's got the
We have a
mic.
question back here, Christy. We have a question here too.
Oh, Frank.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Keene. I'm a member of the Washington Interfaith Network, and I just wanted to offer a comment to frame the conversation. I really think that it's a mistake to conflate homelessness with criminality. And we've heard several times mentioned today that children are disproportionately represented in the population of short-term emergency residents who would be in these short-term institutions, in these facilities. So please keep the conversation honest. What we're talking about is children. We're talking about families. We're talking about people who, if you don't extend a hand to today, may be lost tomorrow or in 10 years or in 20 years. So the idea that we could pass the buck on this and write it off as a public safety concern, I think, is below this community. Thank you.
So, Seth, will you bring the mic up here after? Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Bazi. I'm a property owner and a mother in this neighborhood. I have a little one here who I'm hoping to enroll in our local public school, Amadon, next fall. So I'm hoping you can answer some of my questions about the impact of this particular shelter on education in our area. It set off alarm bells for me when I saw that there's 50 families living just a couple of blocks from Amadon, because it would seem to me that most homeless kids go to the most convenient school, the one they can walk to. And potentially we could be talking about 100 kids, or Amadon suddenly becoming a school that's 1/4 or 1/4 homeless students. That's a huge burden to put on a school that's really trying to improve already. So what plans are there in place, or what could be done, or what process could be set in place so that we can make sure that, I think it's a healthier thing for the housed students and the homeless students if there's not one burden put on one school, and how we can make sure the students get opportunities to go to numerous schools in the area.
Yep, no, that's a great question. And so One important piece of context is there's actually federal law, the McKinney-Vento Act, which governs all of the homeless services and funding from the federal level that by law requires that a student may remain in their home school or they may go to their inbound school. So what we see, and that it's our responsibility to help with transportation back to their home school if that's what they choose to do. So we work with families on an individual level. What we see right now, so most of our families are at DC General, but when we look at our education data, we partner very closely with the Office of State Superintendent of Education. We have students that are experiencing homelessness at over 200 schools in the district. So most of the students actually, the families choose, because again, remember, this is supposed to be a short-term stay, and the intention is to stabilize them and get them back into permanent housing in their own units as quickly as possible. So, and what that looks like in practice is every school has an education liaison, a homeless education liaison. They're working with the case manager that's assigned to that family is working with the homeless liaison to determine the best plan for that family. And so often when they're going back to their home school, what that looks like isn't necessarily big Aussie buses pulling up, but through the Kids Ride Free program, older students have the ability to take public transportation back. And again, if it's younger students, through transportation assistance, it can be gas cards or cab fare to help them get back to their home school. But again, we provide a daily feed through our homeless management information system into the OSSI, their database, and so we have a two-way communication. We can go in and look at where the student is enrolled, if they're attending. If they're experiencing homelessness, they're automatically, the school receives a bonus for a high needs. This isn't my particular area of expertise, I'm not going to get the term correct, but they receive a bonus in terms of funding. So there's a lot of things that we do around schools to protect the rights of children in terms of education, but that is something we will absolutely work with the community on.
Hi, my name's Sona, and I am all for the shelter. It's part of the community. I support it. However, my concern is, what are you going to do about the public housing? How do you make those housing situations livable? They're in awful conditions. So if you're going to do something for the community, why not start there first instead of bringing in something new? We live in Southwest for a reason. We love the community, the residents who've been here, and folks of us who've been here are more new.
So again, I want to be clear that we are hearing your concerns about the public housing. We will come back, and I'm not necessarily the right person to speak on behalf of the Housing Authority. We will come back and have a conversation on this issue. So I want you all to know that you're heard and it's noted, and we will come back to talk to you about that. Oh, you said, Frank, we were going to bring the mic up. I'm sorry.
Hi, I've lived at 162 G Street since early 80s. The former housing that was provided for the men next door to this facility was a catastrophe. It was 15 years of dues we paid for that. I mean, there were naked men in the playground where our kids had swings and seesaws and so forth. Along with that, Tony Williams, as the mayor, came and provided himself a big media event at 101 and 103 G Street for Section 8 housing. And he filled those twin towers with Section 8 housing. So the people, the retired little old ladies and the government workers moved out because there was trash in the hallway and urine in the elevators, and it was a unsupervised catastrophe. So, and you keep talking about civilized and comfortable and smart people. Why weren't any of those people available to help at DC General? Why was DC General such a catastrophe?
In terms of
Why?
the
I mean,
services?
why
Yeah.
is this going to be beautiful? And that was so terrible. Nothing. They didn't have. There were no security guards around the Section 8 housing. The Katrina people came and they had sex on the sidewalk, and it was like unbelievable, unbelievable. And this community, like, it didn't happen in Kalorama, and didn't happen in DuPont Circle, and didn't happen on the Gold Coast where the mayor lives.
So, again, I hear your concerns. I understand. One thing that I want to point out again is that I know this community has really struggled with homelessness. Most of my
And crime.
right.
Automatic weapons I hear at night.
Right. So there's a couple.
Walking home from the ball game.
Right. So there's a couple things that.
The lowest crime rate in the city.
So the child was shot, wasn't she? And then someone else was mugged over to Amazon.
So.
Can we keep it order? Keep it some order.
I'm sorry. So there's a couple of things that, a couple of your remarks that I wanted to respond to. Again, this is a city that has struggled mightily with homelessness. I understand that. And when I was,
She keeps repeating herself.
I'm
You keep repeating yourself, saying the same thing that people who have lived here for a long time.
well, so I just wanted to respond to her comment, though. She asked about DC General. One of the challenges that we have had with DC General is simply sheer to size. So we have had only one vendor who would even be willing to take that on, and so that has been a challenge for us. 270 units is way too big, and there is not any provider who was willing to take on that challenge. And it has posed a challenge for that provider and for the city. So in direct response to your question, why is that such a challenge? That it's simply because of size. So when we are able to have facilities throughout the city that are on a much more reasonable scale, we can provide the intensity and the variation of services that are needed. This looks very different. Again, we have beautiful models in the community that I would love to show with you and share with you. So I hope that you will take us up on that offer. Charles?
It's Christy. Yes, I'm Robert Sockwell. I am a 43-year resident of Southwest, all of which has been spent one block from the location that has been chosen. First of all, I just wanted to say that when you spoke about the selection criteria, which was the RFP was between the government and the potential providers. It had nothing to do with community input. It had nothing to do with community understanding of what properties were going to be chosen. That was done by you internally based on cost, availability, whatever. I have personally looked at every site that you selected. Those sites include only one site that is actually in a highly, let's say, high-end neighborhood. None of them, except ours, is in a very densely populated, mobile income area. We are the only site. We are also the only site that's proximate to anything that's more than 3 stories tall, except the Wisconsin Avenue site, which and the one by the existing the existing homeless shelter, which is a vacant lot behind a building. I don't have the name in front of me, but the point is that the Southwest site is also bordering one of the largest developments to be proposed for our area, which is the Rubel project at the Randall School. We don't know what the Rubel family feels about having a transitional homeless shelter next to what they are going to spend nearly $1 billion to construct, which was to have open first floor passageways for the community to reach the restaurants and other retail facilities that would be part of that development. We are concerned in Capitol Park 4, where I am a board member, about what this will do to the development of the adjacent land, as well as the issues of the facility that you're talking about. You haven't said whether it's 50 beds, 29 beds, or 30. You haven't said whether it's a program facility or merely a residence. You haven't said anything about selection criteria for the people who will be there. You've said nothing. All you've done is tell us that we have to eat this because you proposed it and the mayor supports it. And if the mayor is willing to possibly derail $1 billion of initial development and all the future tax and income benefits from it for a temporary housing unit building to be constructed adjacent to that, then we are also concerned that the mayor's development initiative may be farcical.
Hey guys, my name is Mike Zinn. I'm with the mayor's office as well. I come from the other side of Ward 6, closer to 8th Street, so I know I'm in foreign territory a little bit. But just to go back a little bit, most folks who are staying here, by and large, it's women and young children. There's some couples with kids. They're doing the same thing that a lot of us are doing, right? They're waking up, they're sending their kids to school. To answer your question about schools, by and large, it's 1 or 2 kids per grade. Most people go to the schools that they originally went to. Very few people opt to go to the feeder school where they reside. They do have that option for federal law. I don't think you'd want to say, kids, you can't go to the school across the street. You need to be bused somewhere else. But by and large, they want to go to the feeder school that they came from because their goal isn't to be here. Their goal is to go back into the community that they came from and once they get stabilized. There's also a continuum that we're trying to address here, and we're trying to do it all at the same time. So there are a lot of folks, when they come in, they show up at Virginia Williams, which is kind of the onboarding, the front door for homeless families. We're trying to narrow the front door a little bit in some ways. So if you're having someone's having a dispute with their parents, we're working to not take them into the homelessness system, because that's not the right place. We're not the place that you're going to be settling family disputes. We want to slow that down so we can spend more time on folks who are, maybe they missed a paycheck and they're out on the street and sleeping under the Whitehurst Freeway, and maybe they have a couple kids. So the goal is to get these folks here who are just small families. It's 50 units, so that might be a mother and a child. That might be 2 parents and 2 kids. So the numbers are floating a little bit, but the goal is really that they're going to be there for 60 to 90 days. So as far as development, so the mayor has made an unprecedented $100 million investment in the Housing Production Trust Fund. That's significantly more that's ever been made before. So part of that is preserving affordable housing units that are already in existence, that we're actually coming up and they're actually making sure that they stay online and then building new ones. So it's changing that whole continuum all at once. So I just wanted to lay that out there. And as far as the economic development part of that, the wharf is a multi-billion-dollar project. It's true, but this is paid for under construction. I don't think they're going to move, right? Because no, sir, no. But sir, we're talking about 50 units where people are going to be there for 60 or 90 days. We're talking.
Be there for 60 or 90 years, rotating people in and out. Right. We don't know whether the programs that have failed with the district previously are going to be improved to the extent that we would be comfortable, and the people who are going to be in that building, if it were to go there, are going to be comfortable with us. Also, there's a 24-unit, 2-story apartment building in Greenleaf Gardens. You put 2 more floors on it, you'd have 48 units. You'd almost meet the criteria on a piece of property that's already encumbered by low-income housing and would be even closer to the Safeway and the mall. Why was not that city, and transportation, why was not that city project looked at as a source for this building instead of something that's adjacent to a potential moneymaker for the city and environment builder for
so
our
just neighborhood? To back up a little bit to talk a little about the Ward 6 site in particular. So this site is going to have a couple things going on. So there's the old church, which everyone's familiar with, that's used as an art space now. That's going to continue. Adjacent to that, there's going to be housing for artists. That's how they're going to market that. That's how the owners will still retain the ownership of that, and then this site will be adjacent to that.
Can I say, Blind Wino is an entertainment venue. And they have parties there that start in the middle of the day and go till late at night.
They're actually going to alter.
Okay, well, let me just say, I have pictures on my phone of one of the recent parties where they left half-consumed bottles of beer on the picnic tables in front. And this is supposed to be where the playground is going to be.
So,
that they have in this
so,
design.
so, sir,
It's not
that's
acceptable.
an excellent point,
Yeah.
because that's what's happening now, right?
That's right. That's fact.
That's happening now.
It's fact.
So what we negotiated with the owner is to actually change how that's used. So we have put in. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? The hours that they'll be able to operate.
One second.
They have a liquor
So,
license.
excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. The gentlemen and the ladies up here can't see how many hands are back here. So we're going to try to get to as many hands as we possibly can, because we're going to respect the house that we're in. This is the beginning of the conversation, but I ask that you keep your comment to 30 seconds and your questions so that we can get to as many people as possible. Can we take the next set of questions, please? Ma'am, you've been waiting patiently. Thank you so much.
Welcome. My name is Felicia Couts. I've been a resident of Southwest for 18 years. I also reside in Capitol Park 4 condominium, which is directly across from the proposed development of this homeless shelter. First, I wanted to make the comment that I strongly resent anyone in this room who would insinuate that as a Southwester, any of us in this room would reject potential housing for homeless people. That's not the issue. The issue in this room is the selection of this particular site. As a resident of Southwest, there are a lot of abandoned buildings buildings and facilities that are sitting empty. And I think the real question is, why this site? There are other pre-existing buildings that could be renovated. Right across the street is Unity Healthcare Facility, which many of our residents don't use because that building is in terrible need of revitalization and renovation. A homeless shelter would be an ideal spot for Unity if the district would work with the owners of that building. Even though it's landmarked, it's clear to me that the district can do exactly what it wants to do, when it wants to do, if it requires a taking of land, if it requires purchasing land from an owner. But the true issue is, this may not be the best site. This isn't a case of not in our backyard. This is a case of where in Ward 6 is the best location for a homeless facility. And it's my opinion that this site is not the best site.
Thank you for your comment. Let me say this, what may appear to be vacant and usable may have problems in terms of the what we call the footprint necessary to support the mission, in this case 50 units. And the other is that it may be encumbered by other things that don't make it possible for us to get going to meet this goal of ending homelessness and the use of the DC General Hospital before the September or October of 2018.
So one more public service announcement. So to get to as many questions as possible, if your question is why this site and this is not the best site, we've heard you clearly. You've done an awesome job articulating that. So now we need to go to the second round of questions that you have, because as council member said, as the mayor said, we need to hear from you, and it's not just these 2 days. So next question.
I found it interesting that there's so much development. You said $1 billion, and just from as soon as I heard it, the first thing I thought were there the jobs for these head of household homeless people right there. And that $1 billion, those homeless people that you bring to your community can work and have jobs right there. So there's a marriage right there between the development and the homeless families and jobs right there. Thank you.
If I may, thank you for that comment, sir. If I could add a response. We are required by DC law to provide an opportunity for 35% small business participation and local hiring efforts in the things that we do in the Department of General Services. We have I have imposed in the 5-6 months I've been in the job, we have a stretch goal of 50%. The law says 35. To this gentleman's point, there's an opportunity here for folks as we see develop. This certainly occurred in my experience on the southeastern side. So I appreciate that comment, and it is truly, it is something that is possible.
Hi, my name is Mary Williams. I've lived in Southwest for the past 18 years, and the city has a plan over the past decade to deconcentrate the levels of poverty. Southwest community, despite what several people here say they live in $700,000 homes now. But for the most part, this particular Southwest neighborhood is low income, basically predominant long-time residents under poverty, Section 8, everything. Everyone has said, we not only have Greenleaf Gardens here. On the next blocks, we have James Creek. These are families. Syphex Gardens, we have Greenleaf Senior, we have Greenleaf High Rise. To add another level of poverty is stigmatizing these same people. We are trying to build new developments all across the city and deconcentrate the levels of poverty. So we're going backwards with this particular site. If we want to spread it out, putting it here in Southwest. There are a few middle-class families here. You've heard from them. You've opposed what they said. They're worried about their kids. They just moved here. But the majority of us who've been here, we've had the Virginia Williams Family Shelter on M Street. It was mowed down, and there's a parking lot where we're going to put a hotel. So what are we doing here? Is there a real plan or there's no plan? We want to address homelessness. I'm all for it. I'm ready to do it. But this is not the way to do it, to have another entity of poverty-stricken. Section 8 families, we have 75,000 on the list. Well, how is that going to address 50 units of another structure? My proposal is the city should have looked at, if we're going to redevelop Greenleaf or James Creek and Syphex Gardens, all the public housing, we've already done away with Arthur Caper, and we have Capitol Quarters, and we haven't replaced those numbers of units. How do we intend to address low income and not affordable housing? Because that is the worst word ever. It's not affordable to anybody who doesn't have a job. What we need is public housing, Section 8, subsidized housing, or free housing. So stop the buzzword with affordable. It's not going to help us. This is not what we should be doing. But I think the city's going backwards. Move it into another area or address the needs of this population first and do it somewhere else.
Yeah. And just to provide a little bit of context, many people in our community struggle with housing costs and affording their housing. If we provided a subsidy to every single person in the city that was eligible, that would be about 5 times the city's annual budget. So I don't disagree with you that we need to do more, and we are trying to do more around this issue, and this is part of that strategy. I also want to provide a little bit of context, though, that when people compare a shelter to public housing, for example, there is an important difference, and that's the services that are attached to shelter. You probably heard me say earlier that DC General and our shelter programs for families in particular are the single most expensive intervention in our system because they come with 24-hour social work staff on site, 24-hour security. There are a lot of amenities and services provided to these families because they do have high needs, and we want to stabilize them and help them achieve their potential. So I appreciate your point. I just wanted to provide a little bit of context. I also want to say that there was a comment up here that we weren't providing enough specifics, but I want to respond to your questions. So if you have, I need to know what your questions are. So there was a good question about schools, and if there are other specific questions about how the process works or things like that, we would like to hear them.
All right, we got one back here, Kristen.
Hi, my name's Alexis. I'm a Ward 6 resident. I'm a homeowner. I've lived in Southwest for the past 2 years, and I welcome this. I think that this is an important addition to our community. I think it's kind of unfortunate or, I don't know, ironic that it's happening on a night as cold as tonight. So I hope everyone remembers that when they walk out and feel how cold it is tonight. I have a different question. Often when we move people from one facility to another, whether it's short-term, emergency family housing or it's affordable housing, there isn't a one-for-one replacement. So my question is, if the goal is to close DC General, are we actually providing enough new units so that those who are currently housed in DC General will also have a place? That's my question. Is there going to be a one-for-one replacement?
Yep, that's a fantastic question. And so there is actually a slightly higher than one-for-one. There's 260 units at DC General, and we will have 271 units, I believe, Admiral, when all of the facilities come online. We know that right now, again, we struggle with really long lengths of stay in our system, and so a single family can be in a unit for 6 to 9 months or 12 months because we haven't had those housing resources to help exit them. And this mayor and this council has made historic investments in housing that help us connect people back to housing. So one of the things that we've talked about is, we overflow into motels right now. If we constructed facilities to meet all that need, it would be 2 to 3 times the number of facilities that we would be bringing out to the community. But part of the work that we need to do is to improve our process. Many of our colleagues spent the entire day today sort of doing a business process improvement with our family system. How do we engage families quicker? How do we assess them and connect them to services and assist them with housing search and help them complete the paperwork that they need to do to access the subsidies that we have for them? If we can shorten that length of stay in shelter and get them connected back to housing resources more quickly in the community, that reduces the number of short-term units we need in our community. So if we can serve 2 or 3 or 4 families in one unit instead of the one family we're serving right now, that helps us reduce our spending on that part of the system so we can continue to invest in the long-term housing solutions for families.
Thank you. We have a question over here.
Okay.
Yes. My name is Robert Stoddard. I'm a 72-year resident in Southwest here. Really horse and wagon days. And I've watched the turnover in Southwest. The rec center up here, right up here, used to be a dog pound. It was a dog pound. They turned it into a rec center. Now, where you're placing your building at, it's right next to the original church I come out of. All right, Randall is where I went to school. So I ain't just talking talk, these 17, 18-year-old residents here. I'm talking 30, 40, 50 years residents here. And anything that we can do, because if you think I'm kidding, come over here to this church any Wednesday, and you will see some homeless in here eating a meal. For the last 12 years, I've been doing it every Wednesday. You need to come out and see these children that don't have places. You need to come out. See, y'all talking because you go back into your nice home. I was talking, I said, your nice warm home. But step outside and feel that cold, then think about the people that got to feel that cold. I ain't just talking, I have a sister that have a daughter at 20-some years old, got 5 babies in one of your hotels as I speak. I want something for them more stable than moving from one place to another. If this will help to keep family together, family, we talking about babies, children. Let's stop talking about grown-ups because that's what we are. We talking about children. Children. Put a place that got a school, that's what school for, teach the children. Let's stop playing games here. Y'all so caught up on this other stuff. You build a dog place over here, but you put a water fountain there for dogs, but you wouldn't put one out here by the basketball court for humans. This don't make sense to me.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You got a question over here.
We have a question over here.
I gotta wait for those claps to go down. That was encouraging. Thank you. My name is Reverend Almaguer, and I'm an organizer with Washington Interfaith Network. I would first like to thank Charles Allen for your commitment to this, and also Christy Greenwald. This is something that we've been organizing with WIN for the past 5 years in DC General. I've been working with DC General residents and have met many of them. And one of the things that I'm reminded by is just the people that I have met are longtime residents. I hear a lot of words about, this community and our community, and we've been here a long time, but every single resident that I have met and talked to are 3rd and 4th generation residents of DC, of the district. They have been here for a long time. They built this city, their family built this city, but it was one thing that changed in their life, whether it be cancer, whether it be a lost job, that changed. and now they're in this place. They don't want to be in this shelter either. They don't want to be in these small places, but that's the goal, is that right now there's so much difficulty at DC General. When you have 250 families together on the worst day of their life, it just makes it hard for everyone. One of the things that I think this is a step forward is that it's more manageable for case managers, for programs, for people to be helped efficiently and effectively when it's only 35 to 50 families rather than 250 families altogether. So I understand that this is scary, it is new, it is a change to have these people, but I know that Ward 6 is a diverse and a creative and welcoming ward. We just need to make sure, even if this is not the ward or the place that we want it, that we do say that these families are our families, and these families need homes. They need a safe place, a dignified place where they don't eat moldy food, where they don't have rats and bats, and where they're not walking out every single day. The kids that we work with walk out and see a methadone clinic and a prison, and they ask, "Mom, when are we going home?" And the residents that I've worked with say, this is not what I want my children to call home. When they look and see a prison, when they look and see a place where there are addicts, they don't want that. These are families that are working. DC General has half of the population has jobs. They just can't afford to find housing in the city. So I would ask, if you're here, that if you are in favor of this, that you do speak up and share your voice. We want to make sure that this is something that we support and are together in. It's the safest thing to do.
So I just want to remind folks, we have a hard stop on our facility this evening at 8:30, so we have about 10 more minutes for questions. And again, I really encourage you to actually ask questions about the process.
We have a question
Okay.
here.
My question is very simple and very practical question. Actually, the design, I don't think there is enough space for building new building because the part of lot is owned by the Capital Park Condominium Association. So I'm living down there. So our community, if we deny, that means you don't have enough space to building the building, right? Then what is your second choice? You're gonna put that building in front of the backyard? So this is very practical question. You don't have a space for building an extension the new building.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I had a long conversation this evening with Mr. Bob Hall, your president. We exchanged views about that very point. We believe that we do have the site appropriately cited, so to speak, but I have told him we will go back and re-examine that to make sure. But we would not have come this far if we had not cited properly what we felt we needed to build on it. But I thank you for your comment, and it is something I talked about earlier.
Hi, my name is Melissa Rohan, and I have a lovely view of the Painted Church from my house. I can see it from my kitchen, and my son can see it from his bedroom. It's awesome. Anyways, my question is, what are the criteria for the families who get to go in there?
And that's a great question. So again, as Mike said earlier, we have a central point of intake into our family homeless system through the Virginia William Intake Center. So we work with folks that are experiencing a housing crisis, and we really work to match them to the location that meets their needs. And so when these new facilities are on site, we will be looking.
Excuse me, wait, I'm sorry. You're not answering my question.
I might not understand, I'm sorry.
So the question is, are you going to be screening these folks for things like, are they sexual predators? Do they have felonies? That type of thing?
Yep, no, I understand. So again, I want to remind you that we're talking about families. So this is largely young single women with children. So the answer to that is we do not screen people out of our homeless shelter. If someone needs a place to lay their child's head at night, we want to make sure that happens and that they have that. We do not let children sleep on the street.
I have another question over here.
Hello, my name is Bruce Bjulkin. I'm a Southwest resident. Earlier, you talked about inviting us to look at other shelters, and you talked about the past, which you admitted wasn't so great, and the future, which you want us to trust. You didn't mention the present. I'd like to look at one of these places, but I would like to invite some of you people up front to look at the ball field right next to where the shelter is proposed. I've lived here for a long time. The ball field historically has been under-maintained by the city, to put it nicely. City spent a lot of money recently to put a new field on, but they didn't complete the job. On the far western end of this field, where a lot of my tax money was spent, it was left like a junkyard. And it seems like there's no intention to do anything.
Okay.
Homeless people were camping there last summer. They'll come back. The townhouse community volunteered 2 or 3 years ago to clear out the weeds and the trash and the glass. And it was cleared for the mowers, the city's mowers, to clear it. And then last year, you had contractors for the baseball diamond. They leveled it, and they dumped piles of dirt and sand at various locations along the fence where most people can't see it, except the residents on the other side of the fence. The mowers couldn't cut the grass, and it's a jungle again. It's not fit for my child to play there. It's not fit for the homeless children to play there. So you want us to trust you. Here's a project right now, right next door. When will the city finish this field?
Thank you, sir.
Let me respond. I don't think a Department of Parks and Recreation representative is here tonight. I'll take that to Mr. Keith Anderson, the director, and that's a valid concern, and I've got it on board.
I will just say that in that particular case, Under Armour and the Nats paid for the renovations on the field and helped design that part of the field. I understand that the whole thing wasn't done, but it wasn't city. Just to directly answer the question, it wasn't city funds that was renovating the field. So.
But the city's supposed to maintain the field.
Sure, absolutely.
So maybe they can start something.
So, sir, we'll follow up just like Director Weaver said, and we'll get back to you.
We have a question in the back.
Hi, my name is Jennifer DeValue. I'm from the Lutheran Church of the Reformation. We're up on Capitol Hill, and we're also a WIN congregation. And I had the pleasure to drive around on Tuesday evening a homeless woman and her daughter. Their names are Jennifer and Anijah, and they have been such a part of making all of this happen. And she really puts in a lot of her time and a lot of her daughter's time. And I'm just saying this to give them names and to give them the faces that I know and to just bring them to you, because they are one of these families that could possibly be moving into this shelter. And that is a woman and her daughter. And if they were in the room right now, you would not know it. You would know it because she's quite gregarious, but you would not know that they were homeless. And so my question, because I do have a question, is to what extent our homeless neighbors will be involved in the creation of this good neighbor policy, to come face to face with them and to work with them. So that's my question.
Yep, no, that's a great question. And again, I think taking the time to understand people's circumstances and to get to know that fundamentally the people that experience homelessness really don't look that different than anyone else in this room is important. And I know you all know that, because again, I've heard loud and clear that the objection isn't to the facility, it's this particular site, and we've heard that and noted that. So I appreciate that comment, and they absolutely will be involved in the development of the Good Neighbor Agreement. This is the first conversation. This is a multi-year process. We will have lots of opportunity to bring together stakeholders, our consumers, and to hear concerns from every side. So, next question.
So this is the second to last question on this side, and then we'll go over here, and then we'll wrap up, and then we'll give contact information for anybody that didn't get their question answered tonight. And then a few of us, as we clean up, if you need to be able to get a card or a telephone number because your question is pressing tonight. My name is Kenny Diggs. I will be here packing up, and I will give you my card. I work with the Department of General Services. We need to respect the house that we were given, so we're going to get out of here, and I'm going to stop talking.
Hi, my name's Cindy Grady. I'm a resident here in Southwest, and I've had the pleasure of working with some of our homeless in our community and throughout DC. And I've had people who've been on lists for more than 8 years for help in housing. The National Low Income Housing Coalition has shown that it's impossible for an individual working full-time and minimum wage to rent even a basic apartment, let alone support a family. Given the lack of the ability for people to afford housing and the lack of livable wage in the district, how do you expect these families to ever afford permanent housing? You're saying this is transitive housing. How's anyone ever going to leave?
Yep. No, again,
Thank you.
that's a very good question. And as I've tried to articulate throughout, this is one piece of a much larger strategy. I know we have partners in the room that have been working with us on this. Last year, for example, in addition to the $100 million that was invested in the Housing Production Trust Fund, and that will be invested every year, the mayor has committed every year that she is in office to start building this pipeline again. We also received from the council and the mayor another $30 million in subsidies. Some of those are shorter term subsidies for folks that need a step up and need a shorter amount of assistance. Some folks need much longer assistance and services, and so we are able to match the intervention to the family and what they need. But we understand that the permanent housing and the access to job training and employment services and education, and these are all pieces of the puzzle. We get that. Those are part of the strategy. We're here tonight to just talk about one slice of it, but I would welcome the opportunity to talk to you about all of the different things that are happening in our system, because this is we are doing massive systems change in our community, and it will look very different 5 years from now.
Hi. Yeah, I believe earlier you said you chose from 26 sites. Was that 26 in the ward or citywide? And if it was citywide, how many in this ward were options?
Well, it was citywide. Actually, the responses were citywide. I can't tell you from this ward, but I will try to find out for you and let you know.
All right.
Is this the biggest location?
No. Okay. All right. Do you want, so can we flip to the last slide in the slide deck? One more. All right. So I want to thank everyone. I know this is a tough conversation, and I know folks are feeling concerned, they're feeling frustrated, some people are feeling hopeful. All of those things are valid. And so I want to thank you for coming tonight. I want to thank you for your patience with us. Again, you've heard your concerns, we have taken notes. We will be back out to your community. We will be back in 8 weeks minimally for the next ANC meeting, but we can come back sooner than that. I am happy to give folks my card. I know my colleagues have their information on them. If you want to take down this information, you can always email the Office of the Deputy Mayor at Health and Human Services, who's really helping coordinate this effort for us. And you can also always call our partners at the Mayor's Office of Community Relations. So again, we look forward to continuing this conversation with you, and I wish you a good night and a safe travel home.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.